Okay, usual thing, grease has all turned to glue. It was a little difficult to get off. If you find you have any problems, I found that soaking it overnight can work sometimes, but I have used just an electric hairdryer and heated it up, the actual heat the spindle up, and also put some IPA in, and well, a little bit of mixture of IPA and light machine oil really, and let it sit and see what happens. Lots of things you can try, but applying some form of heat will normally free it. Another thing that plays up on these, which to be honest most people don't realise, hang on, if I can just zoom it in. I don't know if I'm going to be able to zoom in. There we are. Can you see it all gummed up? Well, that's a little roller bearing, and it's normally seized, which this one is. So what I'll do is I shall put some IPA on and heat it up. Well, I might heat it up with the air dryer. The other thing you can do is get a cloth and get a pair of pliers, but don't apply too much pressure, just a bit of pressure, and keep working it until it frees up. You'll need to clean this shaft, and obviously you'll need to clean the main cam, which is pretty gaggled. This piece might help if I was on camera. There we are. This piece, if this is stiff, I suggest you take it apart. If it's not free running, take it apart and lubricate. It's only held on with a single circlip, but if you're not, obviously take a photo of as it goes if you're new to this. If not, you probably know what I'm talking about. But this basically it moves as the arm comes to the end of the record to engage the auto mechanism. So I'll bring you back after I've cleaned all this up, and the other thing, before I forget, I'm going to have to do is the bearings. Hang on, I'll just move you over a bit. The bearings under here will need cleaning and re-lubricated with some fresh grease as it goes to goo, which it probably is. If you can see that, yeah. So it's like a track, and it's you want to just put a light amount of grease in there, but don't lose the bearings, obviously. Okay, so I'll bring you back after I've done that. Okay, so I managed to free this up nicely, and I did use a pair of pliers and a tiny bit of isopropyl in the top, and then I put a little bit of 3-in-1 machine type oil in, just so as it spins, because that little bearing needs to be free, and it runs around on the lobes of the inside of that track, so a bit of grease around there. Just don't overdo it, you don't need loads of it. Yeah, a little bit of grease on the post, tiny bit, or a bit of anything you want really, tiny bit of light machine oil, grease, anything, just a little tiny bit, and you can pop it back. This needs to line up with this, and I found the easiest way, on some of these decks it won't line up unless the arm, make the arm free and move this forwards just slightly, and then you can find the track easier. There you are, now it's dropped down into position. This should be, hang on, I say it's dropped down into position, I haven't found the position, hang on, now we're in position. That's right, I was going to say this should be, that's the stop position there. There again, my camera work is terrible, I'm not showing you. There you are. This moves, which then lifts the arm, and it should stop. You'll feel where it won't move. That's a free position there, and you can check that it's working properly by, if you watch the arm, will move that. Hang on, this deck is resting. You might have to lift the deck up when you do this, but can you see it's moving in, to, which then engages the cog on the inside of the turntable, which then starts the auto changer working. So next trick, that has to come off again. I just thought I'd show you, because well, that's off, we need to do the bearings here, grease the bearings. So I'm going to grease the bearings and then bring you back. Okay, so I've taken the rubber wheel off, and this is mildew on it. The wheel is in good condition. Quite lucky really. I don't think the deck's had an awful lot of use. It doesn't look really bad, although it's had a certain amount, because you can see some residue on the motor spindle. So I'm going to clean the rubber wheel up and possibly put a tiny bit of machine oil on there, on the spindle. Try not to get anything any lubrication on this rubber wheel, or else you're in trouble. You need to take it all apart again and clean it clean it with IPA if you should make a mistake and put greasy hands on. The other thing is, while it's apart, I don't want to lose, I put my washer in the turntable, hang on 2 seconds, and don't lose the washers on that wheel either, is to check the inside of the turntable. I don't know if I can get an angle on it. Yeah, this section, can you see there's a bit of marking there, and I would clean that off, but don't try and clean it to smooth, or else the rubber wheel will slip. Just a light wipe over, don't go too crazy. If you should go too crazy, you need to use something like, I found that you use cream cleaner or Jif or Sif or whatever they call it these days, and do the same thing, would roughen it back up again. But yeah, they do tend to suffer from slipping, and it's usually because there's rubber build up there on the outer edge of the turntable. So check that over and you should be okay. So I'll stop you again and go and clean the rubber wheel lubricate the motor. So there you are, I've cleaned the rubber wheel, lubricated the motor, and also I cleaned the actual spindle, which I should have told you to do, which is here. Any old rubber build-up, get that off. There is one other thing to do. I don't know if you're going to see this. Not like that. You might do there. Is this actual arm runs up on a track, well, a spindle really. And what I'm going to do is put a bit of light machine oil on this, because as you adjust the speed it goes up and down. So I will do that, and then I'm ready to put the turntable back on, because the other bit's done quite nicely. It's all gone back on quite easy. BSRs are quite simple to work on really. There's nothing too complicated about them, provided you don't rush through it and you follow steps. You know, follow your steps. I can see one thing I haven't got right there. That should be there. This lever, I don't know if you can see this lever. This lever actually starts it when you, my arm's in the way, that's a lot of use, isn't it? I'm trying to show you. Hang on. We will get this right. Hang on a second. So, when you're going to start the deck, that arm flies back, allowing the rubber pulley wheel to touch the motor. So make sure that works right before you put the turntable back together. And the easiest setting is the slowest setting speed to get the turntable on correctly. Don't have it on 78 because you'll find that the rubber wheel will trap on the turntable as you drop it on. So I'll put the turntable on and bring you back then. So the turntable's back on. That's the top section, well, the top of the deck finished, apart from any settings you might have to do. And you never know, people like to screw screws under the arm and they don't know what they're doing and they mess up where the arm sits or tries to find the start of a record, which I'll show you later how it works. It's simple really. That's it. The next thing is to do the bottom of the deck, which, like I showed you, really is basically clean any old grease you find off. Don't go crazy unless the deck's in really bad condition. I mean, I have with the old decks just taken all the electronics off, or I should say the motor off, whatever, and dumped the whole mechanism in the sink and washed it. But that was only when they were really, really bad, which is not very often really. So anyway, I'll bring you back when the record deck is assembled back in the record player. Okay, so we're all back together again. I'll just switch on and we'll see what happens. Hopefully the deck will work fine now. You can never tell, so let's give it a whirl. Ooh. And it does. Although it's still a bit quiet, and I think the reason for that, although it's not terrible, the cartridge could be a little bit worn or damaged, but it seems okay. There is a little hum as well. Wondering if the wiring to the cartridge is okay. I think it is.